Watch your shitty language.
Oh,
you mean your cruddy language. Shh. I wanted to make a video of what we're doing here today, but it's not going to happen, so I'm going to make a video of the results of what I've done, actually what Mr. Stanley Crud did. Don't turn your back to the camera. It doesn't look good.
I didn't know you were looking at me.
I know, because you had your back.
It's my best side.
Stop it. I'm going to make a video. I got work to do today. This is a transmission cross member for a GMT 800, which is a 1999 to 2006 Suburban, Yukon XL, Tahoe. And you can't see it because it's behind the plastic. But if you want to take off the transmission pan to change the oil, whatever you want to do, you can remove the drain plug, which is halfway up the oil level. But to get to these back bolts here, you can't. And the reason is because GM forgot to engineer this. The reason is the transmission support is completely in the way. That's how this sits in the vehicle. The transmission butts up against the transfer case, and this support bolts to the transfer case, and you've got no access. Trust me, you do not have access. When I was doing it, I was cursing to my buddy Nick, and he said, hang on, I'll Google it. And he said, oh yeah, everybody's got the same problem. So to fix it, you have to remove the pan and the cross member and the mount. 100%, you can't do this in the vehicle. You could try, good luck to you. The reason you can't do it is because you have to drill these holes. There's an additional mount in the cross member that GM provided for a different transmission, transfer case combination, whatever. I don't know what it is. But this one installs right there. So what I did was I got my hole saw for installing locks and doors, and I put it in my drill press, and we more or less got those lined up, kind of, sort of. And we drilled 2 holes. That one happened to go through the additional hole for a different mount, for a different transmission combination, whatever it fits. So now you can get a, if I could find something, here we go. Here is my 10 millimeter extension. You can now go up straight, because before you had to go on top of the raised support pad on the cross member to access the bolts. Just to remind you, because someone there is saying, nah, it can't be that way. Yeah, well, it is. There's your access. There is none. It is a 30-minute job to remove those 2 bolts, and if I'm lying, it's a 1-hour job. If you can do it in 10 minutes, good luck to you, but I can't, so this is what I did. I marked it with a prick punch before we removed the support, which is a combination of steel and rubber, and it's made in Canada. So it's a combination of steel and rubber. It's beautifully made, built to last. And I took my grinder and I cut it this way and I cut it that way, and then I took a brand new dollar store X-Acto knife and I cut the rubber, and it's not easy and it smokes like crazy. The end one is easier because you can go in from the side, but this one is difficult because I put cuts here and cuts here and cuts there, and I cut. Took me probably a half an hour. It's smoking like crazy, and the rubber turns to mushy rubber, and it goes everywhere, and it can burn you, and it goes all over your friend's grinder, but it's not my problem, it's not my grinder. So when you put this support in place first, then the cross member in place, then the transmission pan, because normally you don't remove the cross member to take out a transmission oil pan, you have got access to stick your extension, your 3/8 with maybe a wobble joint or a universal joint. You just stick it right up here, right through the hole that you drilled in the cross member. You can torch it too, you can use a plasma cutter, and then you've got an access because the bolt is right there. It's not here, it's there. And the bolt doesn't want to come out because you've got no access. So cut, drill, and you put a couple hours labor in, and then next time you want to drain your transmission fluid and clean the bottom of the pan, some people take out the drain plug, but you're still leaving a good inch, that much oil, and possibly some crap. This transmission has 260,000 miles. I have no idea of the service history. I did not run a Carproof or a Carfax or an auto check. The magnet had a bunch of crud on it. Mr. Stanley Crud is going to clean it. He said, that's a piece of foam. I said, no, it's not. He says, sure it is. It looks like a piece of waffle. I said, well, put some butter and some Aunt Jemima on it and poison yourself to death, because that's a magnet. And that magnet, I don't remember if it goes over here. Now I forget, because I didn't take it off. It probably does. That way it allows oil to circulate underneath. That's why it's got the wafflies. So there's your pattern. We just kind of sort of guesstimated where these holes went based on the cuts we made here, but we've got lots of room now. There's also a pan bolt that goes over here, and we were debating if we should notch the corner of the cross member, and I said, you know, I think we got enough room that we don't have to notch the corner of the cross member. Something else I thought of doing, but I think it's overkill and you don't have any access. Something else I thought of doing was notching this. And I would have used a thick grinder wheel, but you can't get in there. No access. But I think we're going to be fine. We've got lots of room to wibble and wobble. We don't want to strip the bolts. So if I had to, I'm going to put this cross member in place and just review it. I could notch that a little bit better and then have access for my 3/8 extension to get up there. A 10mm socket, my 1/4 inch. I use a 1/4 inch drive. A little bit of an access issue here, but very, very minor. And here too, I could cut that away too. I think we're going to be all right. Forward, nicely labeled. Kind of low tech considering how fancy the truck is. It's just a stamped cross member with pieces stepped up. Weld, weld, weld. Stamp, weld, stamp, weld. And that's all the news there is. Got my Mercedes sitting pretty. I was talking to a buddy of mine that had a few of these many years ago when they were newer. He was a car dealer, and he said, the pump may not be bad. There's 6 cylinders that flip the top up. The back window flips up. The tonneau cover flips that way. He says, one of your cylinders could be leaking. He says, check to see if you have oil, because if there's no oil, the system won't run. So that's something else for a different day. I've got oversized tires in the back, and that makes my cruise control not work because the computer is checking the speed of the wheels. It's lunchtime, which means it's time to get back to work and do some ceramic tile or something. But this is going back together, and we will report to you any news, if there's any news to report, which there will be. Well, that was a very serious video, wasn't it? I gotta get my humor back in me. Crank that baby up! Okay, back to work.